Question is, apart from the revelation is received from God, what miracles had Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salam had performed in support of his claim for Messiah in the later days?
What?
Apart from the revelation is received from God, what miracles had Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salam had performed in support of his claim for Messiah in later days?
As a Messiah.
Arabic, please. First of all, what was the sign of Jesus Christ in his first advent, seeing which he has accepted him to be a true God, messenger of God? Can you quote any sign? The only signs these people quote are those which have been spoken of in the Bible as parables, as allegories, and they cannot be taken literally. Now those signs, like raising the people from the dead, like curing a man with congenital disease, etc., if they are the true signs for the recognition of Jesus Christ, then why did the Holy Prophet ﷺ forgot about them when he mentioned that he would come again? Amazing. Not one sign of old is repeated for the recognition of Jesus of the future. See? Why don't they understand these things? The Holy Quran also speaks of some signs, like the ones I have just mentioned, that he raised the people from the dead. Bi'Iznillah. Faqum bi'Iznillah, and there he was. And he made birds out of teen, out of kneaded earth. And lo, they began to fly. And he cured the congenitally diseased and ill, and the lepers, and the blind. Now these ulama take these signs to be literal. I don't want to go into a detailed criticism of their position, because if they were little signs, then they were greater than the signs shown by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because they believe everything which was great was done by Jesus Christ, and when it was demanded from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he failed to do it. Is this their love of Islam, and is their love of the Quran and the love of the Holy Prophet? So first of all, let's decide about the signs. What is the validity of those signs, and how, and can really they be applicable to the second advent of Jesus Christ? Now the Holy Quran speaks of them in metaphors, I believe. They say no, literally. In that case, when the enemies of Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam demanded from him, if you are a true prophet of God, if you are right in your claim, then ascend to the heaven bodily and descend from there bodily with a book in your hand. Had it not happened according to these mullahs, in the case of Jesus Christ, that he had ascended to the heaven bodily, and he would descend from the heaven bodily? What is the answer given to Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in response to this question? Say, "Qul hal qul subhana rabbi, hal kuntu illa bashara rasula." Stupid things. I am a servant of God. Subhana rabbi. God is beyond these blemishes, these small childish things. Hal kuntu illa bashara rasula. My claim is only twofold. I am a bashar and I am a rasul. So your claim is not applicable to bashar or rasul. Correct? That is the only inference you can draw. All right, if this is so, then what was Jesus Christ then? When he rose, was he not bashar? And was he not rasul? This is what the Christians say. Now you are caught. The Quran has admitted that Jesus was neither a bashar nor a Rasul. And they quote this verse, and no mullah can answer this. That is why in large numbers they have become Christians in India and during the last history, 100 years, and in Indonesia and in every other country it is happening. Even in Saudi, these mullahs, these Christians are converting people to Christianity on these flimsy arguments. But they are very powerful arguments because they themselves believe in such hodgepodge and nonsense. Nobody rose to heaven. And the signs he showed were not the physical signs, they were the spiritual signs. Every prophet raises the people from the dead. The Holy Quran, speaking of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, says that istajibu lillahi wa lirrasuli iza da'akum lima yuhyikum. O believers, answer to his call, respond to his call. When Muhammad Rasulullah calls you to raise you from the dead, what is the meaning of that? Do the mullahs say that he actually started raising the people from the dead? They don't believe in that. So in every case, the translation of the Quran which impresses them is reserved for Jesus Christ. In every case, the translation which is secondary, that they keep for Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah. I think वो अलग बांध के रखा है जो माल अच्छा है. The first line of this verse is not to be read here, but the second applies. It says, what sort of man you are? We demand for something back good, and you pass on what is the verse. The good things you have rounded up and strung and put aside for yourself. So this is what they have done to Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The best translations which they like best themselves, they are reserved for Jesus. Ordinary small translations which they think are ordinary, which they think they are not ordinary, they reserve for Jesus Christ. So at best they can demand. Now I'm coming to, after explanation, this was essential, or the questioner will not understand the meaning of what I say. Having said of that, knowing what miracles are attributed to Jesus Christ, I repeat now that these miracles were not mentioned in relation to the Jesus Christ who was to descend. Not even once. Why not? So if they demand the same signs from Masih Maud, then they are in for trouble, because the Holy Quran is completely silent regarding the future advent of Jesus Christ. The Hadith even does not remotely mention that these will be the signs of Jesus. You don't have, you read the Quran, don't you? And these signs have been mentioned. So when Jesus comes, ask him to repeat those signs, and he will start curing the congenitally blind and the leper, and he will bring to life the dead people. Maybe your dear ones who are dead, he will bring them to life, and then you'll enjoy life so much. And then start believing in him. The Holy Quran does not say that. The Holy Prophet never mentioned even once that these are the signs of Jesus when he comes again. See, recognize his truth and follow him. The Holy Prophet speaks of completely different signs. And it is these signs to which I have referred repeatedly before. Either this gentleman have never heard any question answer session in English or any other language, or he listens and forgets. I have spoken of 100% certain signs mentioned in the Hadith, which have applied in case of Hazrat Masih Maud and has proved his truth beyond a shadow of doubt. What are the signs mentioned? He will break the cross. Is it not? He will break the cross. He'll kill the swine, and he will sit on the chair of judgment for you. Hakaman adalan. He will decide which one of your sects is wrong and which one is right, because he will be divinely guided. Now these signs have got fulfilled so clearly in his case that I'm surprised why they do not see. You see, it is the only Muslim holy man who broke the cross into two, snapped it, by declaring that old Jesus is dead. Your Son of God is no more. He died a natural death. He is buried in Kashmir. What is left of Christianity or any religion if their God is killed or shown to demonstrated to be killed? So this is the main stay of Ahmadiya Islam, or true Islam we should say, against the Christian weapons with which they have been attacking Islam. You do away with the life of Jesus and the Christianity collapses. Is that not the breaking of cross? What is swine? Hazrat Masih explained that in fact these two things speak of the same people, because the Holy Prophet ﷺ began with the mention of Qatl al-Dajjal. Yaqtul al-Dajjala wa yaqtul al-Khinzira wa yaksur al-Salib, and so on. So when you hear of cross and swine, what does it remind you? Christian people who eat swine, the flesh of swine, without any hesitation or reservation. So this is the sign of a people, indicating fingers towards the Christian world of domination. So we believe that it is not literal break of cross. It is metaphorical destruction of such arguments as present Jesus Christ as literal Son of God. You do away with that, and the cross, that cross, we suppose Jesus is Godhead, is broken. This is what we are doing now. This is why everywhere in the world, Ahmadiyyat has been able to conquer all opposition from Christians wherever it comes our way. In England, in Germany, in France, wherever there is encounter between Christianity and Islam, because of the arguments supplied to us by Hazrat Masih Maud Islam, and in Africa in large scale, Islamic arguments provided to us by Hazrat Masih Maud Islam always emerge victorious, and the Christians have to run away. In fact, they have packed up from countries, from large areas, admitting this, and I read it during the lifetime of Hazrat Hilmi Shafi Sahib, and he also translated it. I quoted their papers, newspapers, magazine, where the Christian church had admitted that gone are the days when we thought, or when we dreamt of, Christianity sweeping the whole of Africa from one end to the other. No more so. These Ahmadis came and turned the tables. Now, Sierra Leone was their mainstay. Sierra Leone was the citadel of Christianity in those days. They said, in Sierra Leone, most churches are packing up and leaving. We can't do anything about it. This is the breaking of cross. And the sign has already appeared. What is a swine? We believe the filthy culture. It is not the animal swine which is to be killed by a prophet of God. It's a very, very filthy idea if you take this literally. Can you imagine Jesus Christ traveling the whole world and pigsties and things and murdering, slaughtering every pig and the small broods, just born, just slaughter them? What sort of prophet of God that is? Have you ever read of such a prophet in the entire Holy Quran and in any other book of God? From Adam to the Quran, the time of Adam to the time of Moses. Have you ever read of a prophet who went on a journey of killing the swine with his sword until not a seed is left of that swine? Is this what they're saying the Hadith means? Very stupid, to say the least. The only meaning which is acceptable is the meaning which has been explained to us through divine revelation by Hazrat Masih al-Islam. He says, it is the culture, filthy, swine-like culture, against which I have come to put up a great fight on behalf of Islam, or on behalf of Islamic values. And it is destined, it is written, that I and my Jamaat are going to do away ultimately with all the Western licentious way of life, or the Christian licentious way of life, and we put them back on the track of purity. This is the meaning of killing of swine. And they can see it everywhere. You can see German ladies, English ladies, American ladies wearing scarves, hiding their faces. What has happened to them? It is because the arguments of the Holy Quran have won, and they are deeply committed now to serve the cause of Islam, that is, as understood by Ahmediyya Jamaat. The version of Islam we know is being accepted all over the world, and at a much faster speed. So this is the miracle. What else? What sort of miracle other than this they require? The childish game of calling somebody buried, come on and get up, and he gets up and dies again and drops dead. What sort of God that is who shows such signs? But there's so much to it, I have already spoken. Now let me wind it up and come to the conclusion. If all this is not acceptable, if they would not accept anything literal, other than literal, if they reject our argument that these are the expressions of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which should be taken literally and not read metaphorically. This is their position. Then, according to their demand, Masih Maud should fulfill these prophecies literally. And they say that he has not done it. We agree. Because these prophecies were never meant to be repeated, to realized in the way you are expecting. So if he is wrong, if Ahmadiyyat is wrong, then do you know what your Masih will do when he descends from the heaven? Have you ever realized? Ask him. He will descend from the heaven after more than 2,000 years. An old man, but still quite healthy. And the first question he has to decide is whether he has to marry first or roam the world first. Because the Holy Prophet has said he will marry again, وَيَتَزَوَّجُ وَيُولَدُ لَهُ, and he will bear many children. So a big, difficult question for him to resolve. Will he carry his wife and children in the lap of his wife along this world tour of destroying swines, or will they be left in a safe deposit place somewhere and he will return to them later on? Or will he decide to marry afterwards? Let's see, all right, he thinks it's too difficult to leave a young bride of say 25 or 30 years old age while he is 2,000 years old. You see, so he must have taken pity on he would take pity on such a bride. To marry again and leave for another place, that's not fair. He said, all right, I'll decide to marry after I have returned. Now he's undertaken the journey literally because they all believe it. This is not my word, this is their word. This is how they read the hadith. He will first start killing the Dajjal. But to that I'll return later. Let's start with the swine, or the breaking of cross. He will travel all the countries of the world, each of the countries of the world, of all continents, and search into the houses of people, get crash, and see any cross anywhere, the Christians will naturally hide. So he will throw away the, garments thrown over the cross, or dig the cross from underneath, and having done it, he will break the cross and say, all right, no more of it, now I go. Next house, and the next house, and the next house, and the next house, to finish just the continent of South America. It would take him 1,000 years to have a complete search of every house and break every cross. And who will prevent people from remaking the cross, remanufacturing it after he is gone? He turns his back and he is about to leave the South American continent when suddenly the news reaches him that all these vagabonds, they have rebuilt the crosses. All right, I'll go back to them. To and fro, from South America, from the end of Chile to the northernmost part of South America. He will go on moving like a shuttle and breaking the crosses. Is this what they expect from the wisdom of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the wisdom of God? This is their own distorted thinking, which they attribute to Allah and to His the holiest of His Prophet. And if anyone is to be punished for blasphemy, these people must be punished. What an absurd image of a prophet of God they are making and attributing to Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Imagine. All right, one day at last, he will be able to leave the territory of South America and enter North America. How many years will it take him to finish with all the crosses, and how many days it will take for the highly industrialized America to rebuild all the crosses? It's a matter for them to visualize. Then, if he doesn't look back, he go over to Canada. And the same story is repeated over there. No, each house has to be visited. Each closet has to be opened. Each corner has to be peeped into and seen if there is a hidden cross somewhere. All the boxes are to be, broken open, and the dresses are to be searched. Maybe some cross is hidden somewhere underneath. And poor ladies, whose garments are being examined by the Holy Prophet of Allah. Imagine. What an embarrassment. But according to their understanding, this is what is going to happen. This is the sign of true prophet. Let them wait for this sign till eternity. This sign will never be fulfilled, because this is the stupidity of their own minds. It is not the word of the true meaning of the word of Hazrat Muhammad. Okay, he finishes, then he goes to Far East. Of course, he travels everywhere. Goes to the Far East and Middle East and everywhere, and does away with all the crosses, etc., and returns home very tired. And people think now he will attend us, he will reform us, he will take care of our spiritual health. And they say, oh Jesus, Alhamdulillah, you come, welcome home. They say, what do you mean by welcome home? I have yet to kill the swines. And do you know how many swines there are in the world? See, let me finish the task, then I'll return to you. And he begins the journey of killing swines from all the rivers of Pakistan, if he lands in Pakistan. If he lands in India, he will start doing it there. Or wherever he lands, he will first search in the wilderness and destroy all the wild swines, boars, and it is so much work to be done, because the swines live in millions along the sea, or the shore, river shores, river banks. But then he will turn to those ties, artificial farming places where the swine is, the pigs are raised, and they will be murdered one after the other, pitilessly. and then he'll go on moving from one place to another and finish the journey of all the 5 continents and all the countries within those continents and all the jungles and wildernesses and all the cities and townships and villages. He will visit every street. He will knock at every door or gate crash into every house. Come on, come with your pigs. Where are they hiding them? And if they don't tell him, the pigs may squeak. There will be such a noise made, you know. The banging at the door and breaking of the doors, etc. If there are any pigs in hiding, they are bound to squeak. So, all right, don't tell me, I know where they are. So you throw away the covers from the pigs and start slaughtering them. A prophet of God. And until he has done this, they will not believe in him. Because they demand signs. And until all these signs are fulfilled, they cannot believe in him. This is their demand from us. So having done away with all the pigs, then he will return home at last, very tired, and says, find some suitable match for me, please. Because in obedience to the Holy Master Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I must marry and live long enough to raise a few children. So they will go round and round the world in search of a good, sensible girl who, despite the age difference, realizes that he is a holy man, so let me marry. So, but who will perform the nikah? Because the signs are not yet completed. That is the problem. How can they believe in him before the sign is completed? And mullahs will not lead the nikah until they believe. So he will have to get himself registered in some registry office, and then he will say, all right, but I'm not yet finished. I have to kill the Dajjal. And what is a Dajjal? A huge monster, single-eyed monster, left eye is big and sees deep, penetrates deep into the things, even sees underneath the layers of earth. The right eye is completely blind. So this monster is the Dajjal, and he has to kill him before people begin to believe in him, because all the signs are not yet over. To kill a swine is no big sign, every butcher can do that. To break a cross, any strong man can do it, no problem. But to kill that giant of a man who has been prophesied in the name of the Dajjal, the real challenge to his prowess and strength would come when he undertakes the journey to kill, to reach and capture and destroy the Dajjal. Time? So, you remember all these things, have you noted down? The story of Dajjal I'll tell later on. It's a very interesting story. So then I'll inquire from this gentleman, which signs do you want? Which signs do you prefer? Right? But that's what will happen next week, inshallah. Okay? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.